Well, good day. This is Mark Madigan again. I know you all know by now. It's the third video. And I just wanted to wish everyone a happy new year as this is the last day of 2019. And we're looking forward to tomorrow, which is the first day of 2020. And a brand new year and a brand new decade. So, I just wanted to express my desires for each one, that you would all find the freedom that comes with knowing Jesus, that comes with accepting Him into your life, that comes with handing your life that He gave you, He created you, back to Him and saying, make me what you want me to be, rather than me going out and trying to make a name for myself. You make a name for me. It was funny in the sense as I've been doing my reading of the Bible like I do every day, and have done for years now, and I was, you start beginning at Genesis, but when it got to the Tower of Babel, and I saw and it says how they were trying to make a name for themselves. It's like humanity has always wanted to make a name for himself. Nimrod was a mighty hunter, and he built the city, and he wanted to make a name for himself. But then I see God, who intervened at the Tower of Babel, and they wanted to make God that God was intervened there, and He caused then introduced new languages so that they couldn't understand each other, and they spread and scattered, just as God had wanted, because He told them to populate, to have children and populate the land. And they instead they gathered in this one place, and they were building this big tower going up to heaven, and God decided, no, you're trying to make a name for yourself. Well, I'm going to scatter you now. So He scattered them. But when it came to Abraham, one of the things He said about Abraham was that he was going to make, I'm going to pause you. Well, no, I'm not. Let me just go back here into the Word. Because sometimes when I'm talking, and I get so many thoughts going through my mind, that I can make mistakes, and I don't like making grievous mistakes. So I'm just going to go back here. Let's start here at Genesis. Let me see here in Genesis 12. Maybe I should get one of those Bibles that have the little thumbnails in them rather than flipping through like this, but I don't. I've always enjoyed finding the books of the Bible myself. So Genesis 12, here it is. Here it is. Here's what God said about Abraham. And this is in verse, let me turn on the light here and see what verse that is. Verse 2. Abraham's chapter 12. God is speaking, and He says, I will make of you a great nation and will bless you. I will make your name respected, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. Those who curse you, I will curse. All the families of the earth will be blessed because of you. So God said to Abraham, I'm going to make your name respected. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a name for you. Abraham became wealthy. He became, just by serving God, just by being told, allowing God to lead him. And I'm not saying God's going to make everybody wealthy. That's not what I'm saying at all. But God made a name for Abraham. Abraham is known. He got known by all the people of the land there in Canaan, and he was respected. When his brother-in-law, his nephew Lot got taken, he went and with some of his servants, and they fought. He won and brought everybody back brought Lot back, as well as the other people from Sodom and Gomorrah that were captured. And the kings said, well, you can keep all the plunder or all the spoil. But he said, no, I don't want it said that that you'll say later on that you made me rich, because he was trusting God to take care of him. So not only did God make a name for Abraham, but even David, he told David when he was dying that he was going to make his house great, meaning his descendants great, that there would always be a person on the throne. And this wasn't David trying to do it. David wasn't trying to wrestle the kingship of Israel out of Saul's hands. In fact, every time Saul went after David, and David had opportunity to kill Saul, he would hold back his servants and hold back his men and tell them, no, touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. He relied on God to bring it about. If God said, I'm going to be king, I'm going to be king. I don't have to force the issue. I don't have to make it happen. And that's where I am today. And I'm not talking about being a king or anything. God, these last few months before the bariatric surgery that I had, I was kind of wrestling within myself, because this is the first time I haven't been working. It's the first time I haven't even had a church to pastor. And I love pastoring. That is my passion. I love people. I love, sharing the gospel with them. I love watching them grow and seeing God working in people's lives. And so, and being involved in the church, and preaching. I love to preach. I love to teach. I love to share with people and listen to people as well. And that's a quality I think I'm beginning to appreciate more, and I'm trying to implement more, is just listening to people, hearing what's in their hearts. So a couple of weeks ago, it had come to me, because I was kind of wrestling with it and wishing things would hurry up along, and that I could get a church to pastor, and then God spoke to me and kind of said, why are you trying to grasp for this? I called you, I gifted you, but why are you trying to make that the main thing? Make your gifting, your calling the main thing. Isn't serving me and pleasing me the main thing? And I said, Jesus, I had to humble myself before the Lord and ask him to forgive me. And it was at that point that I decided, okay, God, I'm not going to wrestle with keeping even the ministry. Plain Sight Ministries that myself, Pastor Ron Jones, and Brother Steve Rogers, and my wife, we all kind of founded it. We co-founded it together. We, Brother Ron and myself and my wife incorporated it, and I spent time on getting everything to the government and writing up all the documentation needed, and the church constitution and all of that. But I wasn't doing it for me or for my name. I was doing it because there was a need in the church at the time, and God blessed it, and God opened it up, and He made it so that we could ordain other ministers, and we could start new churches. And so it was like every time I got close to the goal of what I felt God was calling me to do, which was pastor, I would find my flesh would get in the way at the beginning. And I would find myself worrying and find myself wondering, when's it going to happen, God? And how's it going to happen? And so when Brother Ron, the pastor I was under, when he passed away, the thought was, okay, now is my turn. But then God, after he died and I was in my office, I kind of shut myself in the office, and I'd pray for about, I did that for about 3 days. I would leave the office at night, go home, and, and eat and so forth. But during the day, I'd go to the office, to the church office, and I'd pray. And the Lord said, I want you to let it go. And I found that so hard to do. And in this conversation I was having with the Lord, I was saying, I want to just press through and keep having church. I know his family doesn't want to. They think I'm too close to him, was too close to him, and I'm the same type of pastor and preacher he was, but I'm not. And they didn't want to come under my leadership, and it wasn't my leadership. I believe in being a servant and serving the people. But God said the best way to serve them is to let them go, and even help them go, help them find another church. So when I was saying it, I struggled with that, and then God finally said to me, He said, listen. And this was all obviously happening in my head. I was having this conversation. It wasn't like God was just speaking audibly to me, but He was putting the thoughts in my head, and the thought came to my mind that if I didn't let go of the ministry, if I tried to hold on to it and push through and hold on to the church and the people, that God was going to send Satan or the devil in, and he would make me let go. And what a mess things could be. So I said, okay, God, I'm letting go right now. And we went home and had a family meeting, and I said, listen, I believe we need to close the church. I let the family talk, and decided to close the church, close down the elementary school that we had. And I took them to other churches until they found the one that they liked and they were staying with. And I talked to the pastor, and then I went to the church that God had led me to just be a member of, until such point God put the thought in my head, it's time to start a church again. And I did, and things happened, and out of that came faith. So I Hope Gospel Fellowship. And started to grow, and then 3 years before, so 2015, God told me it was time that He was going to move me and Barb to Texas. And so that meant giving up the church again. And I installed a wonderful pastoral couple, Pastor Andy and Pastor Jesse Hill. And I became overseer of the church. But again, it was that holding on to something God said, let go of. And I didn't realize it at the time that that's what I was doing. And So when we came to Texas, I didn't have any credentials here in the U.S. that were valid. Um, the church that we're attending didn't accept or didn't, I don't want to say didn't accept my calling. They have a different way of doing things. So I had to start taking courses before I could get ordained in the Nazarene church. And so I'm taking them. It was hard because it's been hard because, after pastoring for a while, you kind of get used to it. And I enjoy preaching. I haven't preached at all since I've been in Texas. I've been waiting on the Lord. I've been praying. I've been open to whatever God gives me to do. And that just hasn't been something yet. But then the Lord said, you're still holding on. So I made the decision of giving the ministry, Plainsight Ministries, and have handed it over. I resigned as president and appointed Pastor Andy as president, and Barb resigned as secretary-treasurer, and Pastor Jesse is the new secretary-treasurer of Plainsight Ministries. I also handed off the governing official, which keeps the records for the government of all the ministers or ordained pastors that are able to solemnize marriages. And I gave that to Pastor Jesse. And I told them, now the ministry is yours. Do whatever God tells you to do. Use it however he shows you to. Start new churches, ordain other pastors, or, whatever God gives you to do, you do. And they have a desire to start a Bible college that they've been. So I said, it's yours now. You don't have to ask me. I said, if you need advice or need prayer, I'm here. But in terms of the actual workings of the ministry, it's all yours now. And I believe that was the right thing to do. So as of January 1st, as of tomorrow, I no longer have any responsibilities for Plainsight Ministries. And so it's going to be different. But I believe now I'm open to God doing whatever he's going to do. And I'm not striving or trying to grasp something. I believe the call of being a pastor is still on me. I believe I can still be of use and of help in the church, and even leading God's people, serving God's people as a pastor. But that's all in God's time. But I'm happy. If all he wants me to do is be a doorkeeper, if all he wants me to do is, be a nail in the door of the temple, I'm okay with that. I really am. I had a thought, before David was king, he watched sheep. Before there ever was a bear or lion, David watched sheep. Before Moses saw the burning bush, and after he ran from Egypt, he watched sheep. He was a shepherd. He watched the sheep. For 40 years. Even though he had the desire before he left Egypt to help his people, he watched sheep until the day God finally called him and said, now is the time, and I'm going to send you to Egypt to deliver my people. David watched sheep, don't know how long it was, until God sent Samuel to anoint him and said, you're going to be the next king. But even then, he continued to watch sheep. And when he didn't want sheep, he was playing the harp or the lyre for King Saul. He was a general in King Saul's army until the day God said, okay, now is your time to be king. So I'm watching the sheep. I'm watching God's people. I'm praying. I'm watching. I'm seeing God working in people's lives. I'm seeing people that are hurt still holding on to Jesus and wanting to be a help to his people too. I'm seeing God, I'm praying for those that are persecuted, are being imprisoned, are being harassed. But I'm also praying for those that harass and are persecuting the people of God. Because I realize that I serve a big, wonderful God who there's nothing impossible for him to do. And he can do what we don't think he can do. He can save even the persecutors, even those that are persecuting his people. He can draw them and save them by the Holy Spirit. And they can come just as Paul, who was first named Saul, persecuted the church until he met Jesus and his life turned around. That is my prayer for the persecutors. That is my prayer for the people of God, that they will continue to love all people and share that love, and that God, through his love, will change the heart of even the persecutors. So this coming year, I'm looking to love more. I have a thought in my mind. I don't have friends. I have family. I have everyone I meet, I want to treat as my family, whether they're in the church or outside the church, whether they're Christian or non-Christian, because in reality, this whole world, every person in this world is part of the family of the human race. And not only that, it's God's desire and my desire that not one should perish. So I'm praying that God can do the impossible and can use me to even help bring those that you would never think would come to the Lord, to come to the Lord and experience the freedom and the love that God has for them. I've been watching and listening to some of the protesting in Hong Kong, Taiwan, towards China. They're wanting their freedom. And I'm praying that God would bless them to have it. That they would be able, that China would be able to be free and have a more democratic rule, and that they would, open up to even the freedom of religion, so that the underground church doesn't have to just be underground, though it is growing. But I'm praying more so that God would save the souls of each one of the protesters, of the government, even of the worst of the worst, because my God is able to do it. So let 2020 be a year of love, sharing the love of God with everyone, treating them like family, that all may come in to the family of God. I pray, God and Father, that this message would be what you would have me to speak out today. Lord, I don't desire to make a name for myself. If anything, I want your name to be raised and glorified, Father, and I desire that you would save all. So I give you praise, Lord, and glory For all power is yours in the earth and under the earth and the heaven. There's no power greater than your power. So I just ask that your will be done today and in the coming year on earth as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name today, hallelujah, amen. So Happy New Year. Hope all goes well. And we'll continue to see what God does.